Hmm. So, what do you understand by the law of chemical combination? I think so. You're facing some network issues, Yash. You're cracking up. Okay. Try turning off your video feed. Turn off video feed. You're still cracking up. Are you far away from the router? Try moving closer to the router. So where the router is kept, move closer to it. So maybe if it's in another room, go in that. Because you're cracking up a lot. I can't understand what you're saying. Your voice breaks up in between. Somewhat. I can understand that you're speaking something, but I can't fully understand it. Maybe, wait, first I'll try rejoining. If it clears up, then fine. If not, you try rejoining, okay? Can you hear me, Yash? Yash, you're on mute. Yeah, you can hear me now? You're on mute, Yash. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, now it's a lot better. Okay, even when you were speaking in the beginning, it was cracking up. Now it's better. Stay where you are, sit how you are, just stay in that position, okay? Otherwise, it'll start cracking up again. Now, what do you understand by the law of chemical combination? So, what does it dictate? What does it help you understand? Can you tell me that? You're on mute, huh? Yeah, now you're unmuted. Go ahead. No, just give me a general idea. What does the law of chemical combination mean? What does it mean? There are several laws in it. I know that. There are two basic laws. Okay. One is law of constant proportion. Second is law of conservation of mass. But I want to know what do they mean to you? So, what do they dictate? What do you understand by them? You learned about them, so you might understand something, right? You're inaudible. Yeah, can you speak up now? Because in between you just got sort of your audio stopped altogether. I don't know what has happened. You're on mute now. Yeah, audio is coming through, but it breaks up in between. All of a sudden, it stops coming in. I don't know what is happening.
Now it's clear.
Yeah,
Hello.
go
Now it's
ahead.
clear.
Yeah, yeah. So you were
It's
saying about,
like when a chemical compound is mixed with the same element, and it has the same when the chemical compound is mixed with the same element as a fixed mass.
hmm.
It's called as
Okay. So there is a bit of a confusion. So let me clarify that out to you. First, the law of chemical combination dictates or controls all known reactions in the universe. All known reactions that are happening are dictated by the law of chemical combination. The first in these two laws is the law of conservation of mass. It states that the amount of mass before the reaction and the amount of mass after the reaction is going to be the exact same, down to decimal places. So if I were to, let's just say, be able to weigh something down to, let's just say, a microgram, before the reaction and after the reaction, it's going to be exactly the same. It's not going to change. That's law of conservation of mass. It's stated as mass can neither be created nor be destroyed, but only converted from one form to another in chemical reaction. Law of constant proportions, I'll put it as simply as I can. Okay, इतना simple रहेगा और झट से बाहर निकलेगा. लॉ ऑफ कांस्टेंट प्रोपोर्शन क्या बोलता है पता है? अर्थ पे जो पानी है और मास पे जो पानी है वो सेम पानी है. Think of it like this. Water here on planet Earth, what is it made up of? It's made up of two hydrogen atom and one oxygen atom. Is that correct? You're on mute. Are you saying something? You're not audible. Wait, I'll ask ma'am to help you out. Just give me one sec, okay? Did you rejoin Yash? He's rejoining. Oh.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Yash. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. See, if your audio doesn't come through, I'll let you know. Then what you can do is you can. Okay. Do you see a chat box in anywhere on the screen?
So actually, the chat box is only available for the paid members.
Okay, that is an issue. Okay. I'll keep the video off. Okay. If there is an issue where you cannot hear me, just raise your hand. Or if you're speaking, make sure your mic is on. It's not off because many a times just I guess you're speaking, but your mic is off. So make sure of those things. I'm pretty sure you should be able to speak up now. Now, I was in the law of conservation of mass. Now, law of conservation of mass dictates that mass before the reaction and after the reaction is exactly equal. And law of proportion, you need not remember every law by the word. Yes, in the answer, you're supposed to write it by word. But remembering is a different thing. Think of it like this. Let's just say I'm living on Jupiter, the lavish life. Okay, I live on Jupiter. Okay, just to be clear, Yash. I have nitrogen, I breathe nitrogen and stuff. But water is present everywhere, on every planet almost, in the form of ice, liquid or gaseous form. So on Jupiter, I take a molecule of water, and you on Earth take a molecule of water. When we compare both the molecules are going to be exactly the same. This is what law of conservation states, that matter in different spaces, composition, the composition of matter is exactly by proportion. So hydrogen to oxygen is 2 is to 1. In terms of mass, in 9 gram of water, 1 gram will be hydrogen, 8 gram will be oxygen. It's predetermined. So water from anywhere in the universe will follow that composition. This is what law of conservation of proportion, constant proportion states. It's discussed in mass, as you can remember it in atoms as well. The law states that in a chemical substance, elements are present in definite proportions by mass. See, one is to one ratio, two is to one ratio, stuff like that. Now, when Dalton discussed his atomic theory, okay, after these laws were established, Dalton discussed his atomic theory. In this theory, he discussed certain statements. They are referred to as postulates. Postulates is a statement for assumed truth. So, it's like I took the assumption that these statements are true. That's what we call a postulate. Now, the postulates are as such: all matter is made up of tiny particles called atoms, which participate in a chemical reaction. So, all matter around you is made up of these tiny particles, which we call atoms. Atoms are indivisible, which cannot be created nor be destroyed. So, you cannot break them, you cannot create them, you cannot destroy them. Atoms of a given element are identical. So, atoms of oxygen everywhere in the universe are going to be the same. Same for hydrogen, same for any other element. In both its mass, chemical, physical properties, all of that is going to be same. Melting point, boiling point, everything is same. Atoms of different elements have different masses and chemical properties. So if you were to compare an atom of oxygen with an atom of hydrogen, both of them will be different in the chemical properties, physical properties, mass, everything will be different. And atoms combine at a ratio of small whole numbers to form compounds. So when they combine as entire atoms. You don't have combination like half an atom of oxygen and one atom of hydrogen. That kind of combination doesn't happen. You have one atom reacting with another atom. So small whole number ratios. And the relative number of atoms are constant in a given compound. The law of constant proportion, that the total number of atoms in comparison to another will be always constant. Any doubt still here? कुछ ऐसा है जो नहीं समझा?
So,
Now moving on ahead, we are discussing a whole lot about atoms. What exactly are atoms? Atoms are the building block of this universe. Like bricks are for buildings, like cells are for organisms. They are building blocks. So everything around us is made up of them. Now, atoms, the size, it's much smaller than all known building blocks. It's in what we call nanometers. As you can see on the screen, I'll highlight it for you. This is a nanometer. It's denoted as nm. A nanometer is essentially, they have given you 10 raised to 9. Now, I don't know if you've done exponentials at this point, so I'll show you what 10 raised to 9 means. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So essentially 100,000, 10,000, billion. Billion times smaller than a meter. That's a nanometer. Okay, to put it in perspective, see, this is the hydrogen of atom, which is 10 raised to minus 10. So 1 divided by 10 zeros. And is 10 raised to 3. That is why we call the atoms the building block of everything around us, because even the smallest thing like an ant or something like that, even a grain of sand is made up of individual atoms. When we first learned about atoms and elements and stuff, we didn't exactly know what atoms are, how these work, stuff like that. Dalton, because he gave the idea of atoms, he also sold the idea that because different elements are different, we should assign symbol to them, because noting them by name is boring. And maybe there's this another reason. Okay, Yash, which language do you speak at home? Which is your most prominent mother tongue?
Hindi.
You speak Hindi? हिंदी में पानी को क्या बोलता है? पानी. Sorry, I answered that for you. But do you know what we call water in Malayalam?
No.
It's called neer.
Near.
So why did I give you this random piece of knowledge? Yeah. Let's just say I'm living in Kerala. Okay, I am a Keralite. No, I'm not, but I'm saying this is for assumption's sake. I just happen to know Malayalam. Now, for assumption's sake, let's assume I'm a Keralite. I'm doing my research. I'm doing some big experiment. You're a part of it as well, but you live another country altogether, or you live another state for that matter. You live in Punjab. Let's just call it that. You're speaking Hindi over there. I do my research. I note down my rough notes in Keralite Malayalam, and I do all the research. I prepare all the notes in Malayalam, and I send the notes to you in Malayalam. Now, don't you think would it be difficult for you to translate that Malayalam into Hindi and then understand the experiment? Correct?
Yes.
This is a problem all the time. Now, different scientists collaborate with one another, but they are spread apart by distances. For example, the imaging of the black hole, which is fairly recent, okay, that project took scientists from all around the globe, situated at different places, working together. Now, different places all over the globe, that means different languages, different dialects, stuff like that now creates a lot of error, because even if you just say for Google's sake, I'll say that you use Google Translate to translate Malayalam into Hindi or English, whatever. Google Translator has this problem. It does not translate your entire sentence as a whole. It translates individual words, so meanings change. And in science, change in meanings, values is a whole lot of error. So to tackle that, Dalton said, screw that. What we are going to do is we are going to create a new language for chemistry, language of chemistry. So the first thing he did, he determined the bases, the elements, and gave them, assigned them with a symbol. The first symbol for hydrogen, as you can see, hydrogen, carbon, oxygen. Now, fairly at that point, are not all known, not all elements were known. So, symbolizing elements was far easier than with these kind of diagrammatic symbols as compared to giving them letters, because not many were in, like 10, 20 at max. This is during the 18th century, okay, just to be clear. So as time went on, Dalton's theory had a few drawbacks. कि एरर स्टैक होने लगा, कुछ लोग सिंबल गलत ड्रॉ करते थे, कुछ लोगों को याद ही नहीं रहता था सिंबल. Because of that, another scientist called Berzelius came to the idea कि forget it, what we are going to do is we are going to use letters instead of these diagrams. ओके ऐसे ज्योमेट्री डिफिकल्ट है, ये ज्योमेट्री करने में किसी को कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं था, किसी भी केमिस्ट को नहीं था फॉर दैट मैटर, तो सिंबल्स का आइडिया है. So for example, let me just open up the periodic table. Hydrogen का symbol H, the first letter of hydrogen. Boron का B, carbon का C, nitrogen का N. You see that the first letter of the name itself is a symbol. Now many a times several elements came together, like first letter दोनों का same है. For example, boron का is B and beryllium का also starts with B. So what do you do when you have this confusion? You give the first letter to the element that was discovered first. For the element that was discovered later, you give it the second letter in small. This is a thumb rule. First letter सारे symbols में capital होगा, second letter small होगा. This is clear? So beryllium is Be, see barium is Ba, boron is B, as you see. So several elements starting with B got 2 letters or 3 letters, stuff like that. Now the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry. It's an organization that deals with everything of standardization in terms of chemistry. So what is the Avogadro's constant? What are the symbols of the element? What new elements are being discovered? Stuff like that. It approved this system of symbols and units, and that is why we use it today. Now, several of the elements, I didn't discuss this, but do not have the first letter of the name. For example, copper. There you go. Copper doesn't have U in it. Then why is the symbol Cu? Now, if you open up, here you go, copper. Its Greek name is cuprum. Its Greek name is Latin name is cuprum. From the Latin name, it got its name. So there are two languages where the symbols were picked from. The first is the English language, and the second is Latin. So many of the elements have their name derived from the Latin names. For example, even iron, for that matter, iron is denoted by Fe, which is again from its Latin name ferrum. Okay, you can see here some elements that have been discussed for you. They may be either derived from their Latin name or from the English name. Everything is possible. Got it? यहाँ तक क्लियर है? कुछ डाउट है, कुछ पूछना है, कुछ भी ऐसा है जो नहीं समझा, बोलो.
No, sir.
Now, how much do you weigh, Yash? What is your weight?
What's up?
What is your weight? How much do you weigh? I didn't get you. Could you repeat?
34.
34. Okay. How do you know you weigh 34? Correct. The same manner how you identified how much you weigh by weighing yourself. We did the same thing but with atoms. Now you went to a bhaji market at some point in time and you saw that the bhaji walas use what we call a balance, right? If you don't get what I'm saying, I'll show it to you. Okay, the kanun ka tarazu kind of thing. This is your balance. Now what we did was, see, you cannot just hold a single atom, put it on a weighing scale and be like, okay, ये इसका वजन है. We cannot do that. It's not physically possible. It's not even in the longest stretches of imagination possible. So what we did was, we did what we call comparative masses, or in scientific term, relative mass. Okay, so let's just say in comparison to me, okay, I'm twice your mass, almost. I'm twice your mass. What does that? What did I do? I just took your mass, saw how much I weigh according to you, and that's relative. So now I don't need to know your mass, or I don't need to know my mass in a standard unit. I can just relate to one another. So scientists did the very same thing. What they did was, okay, let me just read this. Put flip out here. Oh, it won't let me put it. Okay, so simply put it, what they did was they took the weighing scale of sorts. First, what they did was they decided कि कौन सा element हम use करेंगे to weigh everything else. Like I use you to weigh myself, right? In terms of you. So in the same way, पहले साइंटिस्ट ने डिसाइड किया कि कौन सा एलिमेंट यूज करें. दे ऑल डिसाइडेड हाइड्रोजन, क्योंकि हाइड्रोजन इज द लाइटेस्ट. दे टुक अ सिंगल एटम ऑफ हाइड्रोजन एंड डिसाइडेड कि ये हम लोग का मिनिमम मास रहेगा, और हम बाकी सारे एलिमेंट्स को इसके वजन के हिसाब से कैलकुलेट करेंगे. So, for example, carbon ka वजन, okay, the relative mass for carbon was 12 hydrogen atoms. So, if you were to put 12 hydrogen atoms on one side, it would weigh as one carbon atom. That was the relative mass. Then the balance would stabilize. Otherwise, one would be heavier, the other would be lighter. So when 12 atoms of hydrogen were kept on one side and carbon on the other, it balanced out. So they identified it as the carbon का mass 12, like that. बाद में they realized कि जैसे जैसे बड़े बड़े elements आ रहे हैं ना, there was error, क्योंकि hydrogen का mass isn't exactly one. I'll show it to you. Yeah. Hydrogen has a mass of 1.00794. 007 मतलब बेसिकली 1.01, आई वे टू कॉल इट दैट. तो जितना ज्यादा मास रहेगा उतना ज्यादा वो वन जो हम पीछे का 0.1 छोड़ रहे हैं वो बढ़ता जाता है. दिस इज व्हाट वी कॉल एरर. तो हमने क्या किया, वी डिसाइडेड कि इंस्टेड ऑफ यूजिंग हाइड्रोजन विल यूज कार्बन, क्योंकि कार्बन का मास इज मच मोर एक्यूरेट अकॉर्डिंग टू देम एट दैट पॉइंट इन टाइम. ओके, दिस इज इन फॉलोड एनीमोर. दिस इज इन द पास्ट 18th सेंचुरी 19th सेंचुरी तक. उन्होंने कार्बन का मास लिया एंड दे अज्यूम कि उसका 12 है, का 12 है. तो यू सेड कि यू वे 34 किलोग्राम. सो वन पार्ट ऑफ 34 विल बी एग्जैक्टली वन, लाइक टेकिंग एप्पल, cutting it in four halves, it gives you a quarter. That's the same concept they used. What they said was, if we keep, instead of using, what was it, hydrogen, we use carbon. But instead of saying that we'll use one atom of carbon, what we'll say is, you took an atom of carbon, made 12 pieces of it. Individually, you made 12 pieces of it, and each piece of it will weigh exactly one. That is what they called it. So 1/12 of a carbon atom, and keeping that ratio, they took it to scale. When they took that to scale, they got a new value for all atoms. Later on, we understood that this concept is altogether wrong. We discussed further discussion, further development led to the atomic masses of elements. Okay, but these are what we call the mass number. They're not the actual mass. As you can see, they're just mass numbers. So an assumed value for mass is not the actual mass. The atom will weigh, like atomic weight is different than atomic mass number. Is this clear? Any confusions, any sort, that anything that you didn't understand? Okay. Now moving on ahead. Now atoms exist Okay, atoms by themselves, many of the elements cannot exist the atoms as alone. There's several reasons to it. So they do not exist independently. Individual atoms you cannot find in the atmosphere or anywhere for that matter. So they exist in forms of uh, aggregates, like a fruit of, what was it called? Pomegranate. It has several single seeds, right? So the pomegranate fruit is together what we call an aggregate. Multiple things together. Same as with atoms. They come together, create an aggregate. That is what we feel and touch. So the keyboard right here. This keyboard right here is an aggregate of several atoms. We are an aggregate of several atoms. When two or more atoms, when they come together, they bond. That is when we get a molecule. They chemically bond together. That means they either share, give, or take electrons, and then they can exist in this form independently. So, as a molecule, they can exist independently, and the properties may or may not be similar to the element. So, if I were to say, let's just take an atom of hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen burns, oxygen supports burning. But when it combines together chemically, you get water. Water does not burn. It does not support burning and extinguishes fire. That means properties can change when it converts into a molecule. We have molecules of several elements around us. Okay, we have 100,000 elements. Now, depending on what kind of molecules exist, we have what we call the atomicity. Atomicity means, can they exist alone? Do they need one more atom? Do they need two more atoms? Do they need three more atoms? How many atoms do they need in order to stabilize? For example, argon, which is a non-metal, it's in the periodic table. I'll say to you. This entire row which I just highlighted, they can exist monoatomically. Only this row in all known elements around the universe. Only these certain elements. They can exist alone. All other elements require somebody else to balance them. So, molecules. For oxygen, they need one more atom. It can be the same oxygen atom or somebody else. Not necessarily somebody else, it can need two more of the other, three more of the other, depending on that. If it's just oxygen bonding with another oxygen, it will stabilize. Hydrogen is same, diatomic. Nitrogen is same, chlorine is same. For phosphorus, it's tetra. Tetra means four. So it needs four atoms to stabilize. Sulfur needs eight. That is why it's called poly. Like that, there are several. Now these were individual molecules. मतलब same element का हम discuss कर रहे हैं. अगर अलग elements होंगे तो we have water, we have ammonia, we have carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, thousands of molecules, even more than thousands. Okay? Any doubts still here? कुछ भी ऐसा जो नहीं समझा?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you remember the first 20 elements? Have you by-hearted them by any means? If you haven't, that's fine. Just tell me, have you or have you not?
So I have not done it.
Okay. So I won't go any further. I wanted to do something for me. Oh, take a notebook and pen at hand, please. Always have it, in my session. Always have a book and pen at hand. I wanted to first quickly note this down. Okay, starting from the order of the atomic number. So starting from 1 all the way to 20. I wanted to note this table down. And by note it down, I mean physically write it, okay? No screenshotting and stuff. I'm not gonna count that as notes. I wanted to note it down.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
So I can't see the screen. That's it.
Okay, I'll reshare. Can you see it now?
48.
I'll open up. Give it a moment. Is it visible now?
Okay.
Okay. Make 3 columns in your notebook. Quickly do that. I'll dictate it to you. Make 3 columns quickly. You can make them roughly, it's fine. Done?
Yes.
Okay. In the first column, write element name. Element, ELEMENT. That element name. Write that on the header. So the first column should be named as element name, second atomic number, and third atomic mass. I'll repeat. First column element name, second atomic number, third atomic mass.
Number and what's the last?
Atomic mass.
Yeah.
Now note down the first element, hydrogen 1. Okay, hydrogen, element name hydrogen, atomic number 1, mass 1.
Okay. Done.
Helium, atomic number 2, mass number 7.
Atomic number is 1.
And mass is 1. Next is helium, HELIUM.
Okay.
Its atomic number is 2 and atomic mass is 4.
Yeah.
Third, lithium,
Yeah.
atomic number 3, mass number 7.
Okay.
Beryllium, BERY,
Yeah.
LLIUM, double LIUM.
Yeah. Done.
Atomic number 4, mass number 9.
Yeah. Done.
Okay. Next is boron, BORON.
Okay.
Atomic number 5, mass 11.
Okay.
Carbon 6, atomic mass 12.
Okay.
Nitrogen 7, mass 14.
Okay.
Oxygen 8, mass 16.
Okay.
Fluorine 9, mass 19.
Yes.
One. Fluorine, Fluorine.
So its atomic number is
Number 9, mass 19. Neon, Neon, mass 20.
what is the atomic number?
10, 10, 10. First and done.
Yes.
Now I want you to do the exact same thing. I've asked Lian's ma'am to share this image with you. I want you to do the exact same thing and continue from sodium, which is 11, all the way to calcium, which is 20. Okay, all three details. It's the same image she must have shared with you on WhatsApp by this point. Did you get it?
This is okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
I've got it.
I want you to note it down completely. Okay, so convert it and share it as homework over PDF. And in the next session, I'll ask you any detail about any element. You should identify it. So if I tell you atomic number 5, which element it is, what is its mass? Or if I ask what is the atomic mass of oxygen, you should be able to tell. If I ask you the atomic number of neon, you should be able to tell. Get it?
8. Yeah.
I wanted to do this as homework. So in the next, I'll ask, I will begin with this as the pop quiz, and I want you to send the homework, the complete table as homework. Okay, understood?
Yes.
We'll wrap up for today. You can leave. In next session, try and solve this network issue. Okay, by the next session.
Okay.
Bye.